If you've been following along step by step with this series so far, then congratulations, you have a huge number of tools at your disposal already. At this point, what we're going to do is begin to make all of these tools very practical for working with production environments, so a live site. So if you imagine everything that you've learned about so far, all of that is applicable to a live site as well. But the tricky part is connecting up your local development site with that production site. The most common solution to this problem is creating a central remote Git repository. This repository is a standalone repository, but it's set up in such a way to allow public commits. So when you make changes in your local development repository, you can then push those changes up to the central repository, and then your production site can then pull those changes down, and the interaction can go the other way as well. Say you make a fix to a bug on your production site, you can then push that change back to your central repository and then pull it back into your development environment. Now, because everything is version controlled on your live site or project, it means that if you roll out some changes you didn't intend to roll out, you can easily roll those back. Whereas if you were using something like FTP to upload files after you change them locally, then making those rollbacks is going to be a lot harder because you have to know which files exactly to roll back and what parts of those files to roll back. Now, once you're able to set up this repository between your development environment and a live site, you can use that same interaction to set up other team members, and that's exactly what we're going to do later on in this series. So for example, you and a partner can both be modifying files in your own repositories, but then you can sync those up with the central repository and actually share your changes. When it comes to actually creating a public repository, if you do it from scratch on your own with your own server, then you have a bit of a learning curve ahead of you because you have to set things up a little bit different than you would in your local environment. However, there's a ton of services out there that will provide public repositories for you. We're going to use a service called GitHub, which is probably the most popular Git repository host. Now, most people use them to create open repositories, ones that are shared publicly that other people can download and use. However, you can pay for private repositories if you're using them for a project that shouldn't be open to the public. There are other services out there as well. I personally have used one called Unfuddle, which has great integration with ticketing systems, and it also offers, at least at this time, a free private repository with some limitations.